Hello everyone, welcome to Criminology. So this is the second part in a two-part book haul video. So the first one I showed the crime and horror books I've picked up recently. This one, which is proving to be a bit overwhelming, I'm going to go through the men's adventure books that have come through my letterbox in the last week and a bit. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right, so I'm going to do this in two parts, or maybe three parts. So the first part is Mac Bolan, The Executioner. The second part is going to be the Survivalist books by Jerry Ahern, and the last part will be the Adam Steele books by George G. Gilman, who also wrote the Edge books, which I'm a big fan of. So let's start with the with the Executioner books. I ended up buying a few job lots of these. If you don't know, this is a series that's been going for 45 years or something like that. So there's a lot of books in the series. It started in the late 60s. And I've done a review of the first book in the series, which I'm now forgetting the name of, War Against the Mafia, which you can watch on the channel if you're interested. So the series is about a guy called Mac Bolan, who in the first book comes back from fighting in Vietnam because his parents and sister have been killed, and then thereafter starts a war against the mafia, as the title of the book suggests, which continues for many books, and then in later books he takes on, becomes more, they become a bit more geopolitical, should we say. So he takes on foreign enemies of the US. For example, drug dealers, anything's fair game really for Bolan. And there's also some spin-off series as well. So the standard Executioner books are this kind of small paperback format which get published monthly, but there's also these bigger ones. So there's a few, I think 3 or 4 series like this, but there's one called Super Bolan, one called Stony Man, and I think there's a couple of other ones. And then there's some other ones like these Ableton books, which are about other fighters for justice who work alongside Bolan. So there's Ableton and there's also Phoenix Force. Right, so I'm not going to go through all of these books because there's just too many of them. I haven't even counted them, but yeah, I went a bit crazy with these, and I need to calm down, because what I've ended up with is a situation now where I've got like the first 20 or so books in the series which I'm going to read in order, and then I've got a big gap, and then I think I've got 49 through to 80 or something like that pretty much complete, and then another gap, and then 91 and a few in the 90s basically. But what I will do is I'll flip the camera and I'll show you some of my favourite covers out of these, because a lot of them have absolutely fantastic cover art. Right, onto the Bolans. Right, so here we go. These are the earlier ones. So these are like within the first 10 books or so. Particularly looking forward to reading this one as someone who's English, to see how Pendleton handles London and what amusing Cockney accents and things like that he throws in. These are the UK Corgi ones, and what I've got most of these, which I quite like the covers on, but they're not as good as the American covers in my opinion. So that, I have to say, the art on that one's very good. I think this is a later Corgi print, so slightly different cover style, and this I think is later Steele. Again, these ones I don't like quite so much. And then here we've got one of the pinnacle ones from the States, which is these are the covers I think are the best. I think that's really fantastic. God knows how long it's going to take me to read all of these. I suspect I may still be reading them when I'm retired, but at least it'll give me something to do. There's one I haven't got, which I need to get, which is, I think, book 124 in the series, which is about the Satanic Panic. So it's Bolan up against Satanists who are corrupting teenagers, which sounds brilliant. Right, nearly done with the Volans. These ones I have to say I'm not so keen on the cover, although that one's pretty good. And that's a good one as well, actually. Yeah, and these ones these are getting on a bit. I don't know when this one's, is this early 90s now? Oh no, still 80s, 1988. So yeah, this cover style I don't like so much. It's more like feels more like a straight to video movie cover rather than a pop paperback. And this is one of the bigger ones, so dead easy. There's a few of these, but this is one of the quite early ones, I think. So let's quickly move on to the Ableton Book. So this is as I said, a kind of spin-off of The Executioner. So some of his comrades in arms. So again, that's a slightly larger one. And then these are the kind of standard size Ableton books. I think these are 49, 50, 51. I think these are pretty much the last ones in the series. They didn't run for as long as the Executioner series. But again, I do like these covers. They're fantastic. Okay, so next up are the Survivalist novels. I'm going to try and hold these up so you can see all of them, because I think the coloured spines on these are just glorious. And I love the fact that these are, you know, it looks like a nice kind of rainbow shelf, but also they are ultra-violent books from the 80s about a guy trying to survive after a nuclear holocaust has destroyed most of America. So these I read, like the Executioner books, which I read a few of in my kind of teens and 20s. The Survivalist books I read a few of back then, and I think I fairly recently reread the first one, Total War. These are all the UK edition, so as I kind of alluded to, they're about a guy called Rourke, I think, John Rourke, who is, I think he's like a scientist or a journalist or something like that. He's not like a soldier or anything, who survives a nuclear attack on America, and thereafter roams around the nuclear wasteland trying to find his family and killing various baddies. So an American series originally, so Jerry Ahern, who wrote a number of other series as well, so quite a well known and well respected author in the men's adventure kind of pulp paperback field. But the Survivalist is probably the series he's best known for. And whilst often I try and get American copies of, you know, this kind of books, because I think that American covers, generally speaking, tend to be more interesting. For the Survivalist books, I actually think that the UK covers are the best. So I'll give you a quick, I'll flip the camera and go through the covers with you in a second, but I just think the cover art and the design on these is absolutely glorious. And this lot, which I got this all in one lot from eBay, and they're for the most part in fantastic condition as well for books that are kind of 30 plus years old. The other thing that I think is quite interesting about this series is, so it was a very popular series at the time. It was also translated into French. I learned recently, but the French series actually goes on for more books than the English one. So it must have been very popular in France, and they actually started writing their own books in the series after the original American series had finished. So this is, I think there's 30 odd books in the series in total. So this is books 1 to 16. So once I get through reading these, I'm going to try and restrain myself and not buy any more until I've read these ones. But once I get through reading these, I'll pick up the rest in the series. Unfortunately, I won't be able to read the French ones because whilst I speak a bit of French, I can't really read it. Okay, so I'm going to whiz through these, and they're in reverse order, so accept my apologies for that, but I can't be bothered to reorder them. But yeah, as I say, I think the artwork on these and just the design overall is just phenomenal. They really, I remember when I was a teenager, they really leapt off the shelves at me. And I think they've still got a real appeal nowadays. I love the fact in particular there's like one thing on each cover, so you know, like the motorbike on this one or the rocket in the background on this one, that gives you a hint as to what's going on in the actual story. This is one of the ones I definitely read as a teenager. I remember that cover. Yeah, just wonderfully colourful and fun. No idea who the cover artist is. I don't think it says on the back, but I think he's, whoever it is, they're really very good. There we go. There's reverse order. Back to the first one, Total War. Okay, so finally we have these Adam Steele books. So I chanced across these on eBay. George G. Gilman, who wrote these, is an English writer. His real name was Terry Hartnett. And he wrote the Edge series, which I'm a huge fan of. And in fact, my first BookTube video was about the Edge books. So these Adam Steele ones, and indeed the Edge ones, tend to be, you know, they're not cheap to pick up nowadays. So I chanced across a seller on eBay who was selling a bunch of executioner books, some of these ones that I picked up. And he had these Adam Steele books as well for very little money. And I was surprised when I won the auction, to be honest with you. The pictures he posted and stuff like that were terrible. So I suspect that might be why, but I took a chance and got them, and they all appear to be pretty, well, I think they're in unread condition. You know, you can see the spines aren't broken at all on them. So I don't know anything about the Adam Steele series other than the fact they're by Gilman and they're westerns. You can see that cover there is great. He looks an awful lot like Clint Eastwood on that cover, I have to say. But yeah, looking forward to digging into these. There's a few crossover books, a couple of which I've got as well, where Gilman did a crossover between the Edge series and the Steele series. So yeah, once I get to those, I may well post a review, but given what I've got to get through, I don't know how soon that's going to be. But anyway, I'll flip the camera and give you a bit of a cover gallery of these ones as well. Okay, these are the Steeles. These are in no particular order. I have to say I don't like these covers quite as much as the Edge covers. I think the Edge covers have a rawness to them that really matches the books well. These are, I think, probably a bit more traditional kind of Western covers. Not quite as edgy, no pun intended, as the Edge ones. And I would say I don't think the artwork is as good as on the Edge books, but they're pretty fun covers anyway. Unfortunately, most of them have got stickers on the front, which I've tried to peel one off and it felt like it was going to damage the book, so I'm just going to leave them on. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that book haul video. If you're a fan of men's adventure trash paperbacks like these, then please do leave a comment. Let me know what you think I should be reading first out of them. I think I'm probably going to carry on with my read through of the Executioner series first. So as I said, I've got up to about book 15 or so without any breaks. So I'll probably try and get through all of those. And then I might pick up the Survivalist books again. But I think I'm going to try and start reading one book from each of the series I'm working through every month. So 1 or 2 a month. So one Edge book a month, one Executioner book a month. I'm reading through John Norman's Gore books as well at the moment, so probably one of those a month as well, and then leave a bit of space for new things too. Anyway, yeah, as I say, hope you enjoyed the video. If you're a horror fan, this may not have been one that really appealed to you, but if you like trashy paperbacks and men's adventure, hopefully this ticked the boxes for you. So please do like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. Cheerio.